What's up, people, and welcome back to another episode of Ghetto Gospel. So where we left off at. Last week, we talked about Joseph setting up his brother Benjamin to look like he stole his favorite cup. He told his brothers that boy was gonna be locked up, but they could go free. And then them boys begged and pleaded and even said they'd take his charge. And that's where the chapter ended, on a cliffhanger. And now we caught up. So chapter 45 come out the gate, talking about how Joseph couldn't keep his composure in front of all of his attendants no more. And he was like, man, get out of here. All y'all get up out of here. And can we take a second to pause and just realize how hard this man was balling at this point in his life? It say he had attendants, like more than one. So we already talked about his house manager, but he also had attendants in his house. And that word attendants mean folks that were stationed with or assigned to him. So since he was the second in command of Egypt, that almost certainly mean he had bodyguards. It was also probably somebody to serve him food, a dude to taste his wine to make sure it wasn't poisoned. We met one of them a couple of chapters back. Probably his house manager, and probably all of that for all the people in his family too. Because back then, just like today, if you related to somebody that's rich and powerful, you probably a target. Regardless, Joseph had all these folks leave him alone in a room with these 11 strangers from buku far away. So even though he sent all them folks up out of there, it say that everybody could still hear him because he was crying so loud. Not just his attendants, but the Pharaoh's house too, which probably meant he lived not too far away from where Pharaoh lived at. And if you wondering what he crying for, it say he dropped the act and told his brothers, it's me, Joseph. My pop's still alive? But they couldn't say nothing because they was all spooked. And I tried digging at the original translation, but it ain't really super clear whether they was spooked because of how powerful he was, or because they was looking at the brother who they thought was a dead man, or because they realized that the brother they sold off to be a slave was running one of the most powerful countries in the world. My guess is it was that last one. So then Joseph was like, y'all bring it in, bring it in. I'm Joseph, y'all brother, the one y'all sold to be a slave in Egypt. And right about now, this the part of the story where they'll be hauling them boys off to be slaves for a sand salesman, if it was me. But Joseph was like, don't be sad or mad at y'all selves for selling me here. God sent me ahead of y'all to save lives. This famine only been going on for 2 years. It's gonna be another 5 years before folks could grow food again. God sent me out here to make sure y'all will survive and have a way out the famine. So if you really think about it, it wasn't y'all who sent me here, but God did. God did. He made me a father to Pharaoh, put me over his whole house, and made me the ruler over the whole land. Now let's pause for a second. Y'all see how this man was all the way up? Wait. Everybody liked this part of the story, but nobody really want to talk about the fact that he had to be a slave and a prisoner for most of his time in Egypt just to get to this point. You want to be up? Cool. I want to see you up. But like my homie Mike said, it's always a cup of suffering you got to be willing to take to the head if you want to get to the shining on the other side. Anyway, so then Joseph was like, now hurry up and go get Pops. Tell him God done put me over all of Egypt. Hurry up and make y'all way down there. Then he was like, y'all can settle in Goshen and be close to where I'm at. Your kids, your grandkids, all your animals, everything y'all got. You know one thing I just thought about? Joseph had probably been thinking about all of this from the first time his brother showed up in Egypt. But for them, it's a shock. This stranger who was manhandling you and talking rough to you, now he on some, I'm y'all brother, y'all move out here where I'm at, talk. I imagine this whole thing was a lot for the brothers to take in. So then Joseph was like, come on down here, let me take care of y'all, cause it's gonna be 5 more years of this famine. Y'all can stay back at home if y'all want, but when it's all said and done, y'all gonna end up being some broke boys. So then he was like, bro, look at me. Look at me. Y'all know it's me. Now go tell my pops how I'm out here shining in Egypt and bring him ASAP. Y'all remember how he kept asking if his pops was alive? So Joseph grabbed his baby brother like, and then all the other brothers brought it in and kissed. Not that kind of kiss. We done talked about this before. And cried with each other. So to make sure we don't go too long, I'm gonna put a pin in it right there. But next week, we gonna see what happened with Joseph's brothers and the rest of his fam. So that's it for this week. If you don't know Jesus, but you're trying to get to know him, go and click that first link in the description down there. I'll see y'all next week. And as always, peace, and I hope y'all people straight.